Hi everyone, thank you for being here. I'm excited to jump in and paint together. So today I want to paint something that I've been getting messages and emails asking if I could do a tutorial on this. This is a painting I did of a car driving at night in like a foggy or misty, rainy type of weather. You could see this is portrait style, but we have landscape style here. So we're going to do landscape. You can pick and choose, totally up to you. Okay, let's go over the materials needed for today. I'm using a 16 by 20 inch canvas. It's already gessoed and ready to go. So I'll just paint straight on. For paint, I'm going to use my 24 set of acrylics here, and I'll show you which colors I'm going to use from this set. We need medium yellow, orange, scarlet, Viridian, phthalo blue, and then from my 5 set of acrylics, we're going to use titanium white and carbon black. For brushes, we're going to need a couple of these blending brushes. One I like to use to dab in the water and put out my colors out with water and paint, a little bit of water and paint, and then the second one to blend everything in nicely. Those are M1s, and then this is a M2 that's a size smaller, as you could see right there. Alright, we're gonna need one of these for like little parts. Probably I'm gonna be using that, and I'll show you where. We're gonna need, from the 4-piece, these are similar, just a size down. This is a number 8 brush. Okay. And this is number 4. Okay, I'm going to use this for adding trees and just kind of like blending little parts and stuff like that. We're going to need a 1/2 inch flat brush and a 0 detail brush. We're going to need a palette, and I'm using palette paper right here. We need a palette knife to mix your paint, and some paper towels to wipe your brushes, some of them, and wipe your palette knife. A jar of water. And if you have a hairball dryer to dry out your first coats, go ahead and do that before applying any other details on top of the paint, because if you work wet on wet, it's going to kind of take away the paint that you added, and it's going to show the white canvas through. Okay, so make sure it's dry. But if you don't have a dryer, then just wait 30 minutes or so around there, and it should, dry out. You'll feel it, you'll know. Acrylics dry pretty quickly, and but I like to use a hairball dryer so that I can continue adding my details. So I'm going to explain what we're going to do real quick. So I'm going to start from the furthest distance and work my way up close, and we're going to add from far away. We're going to add from like a lighter bluish color here going into a darker phthalo bluish color right here, right? And we're going to add some far away trees right there somewhere, and then we're going to add a couple closer darker trees here with branches right here, and then we're going to have a road coming somewhere right here with a car and light reflection, and then some light poles, electrical poles and things like that. Let's see what happens and create and have fun, and let's make it our own. So for example, if I'm explaining and showing you how I do it and you guys catch the technique, go ahead and add a tree or whatever placement you want your bushes and trees to be. Go ahead and do that. Have fun with this, okay? Also, I want to remind you that all these materials, including canvases, paints, brushes, palette paper, most of the stuff that I'm using, actually pretty much all the stuff I'm using is available on ColorByFeliks.com on my website if you're interested in using what I'm using. But if you could totally use what you have available, and just pick and choose the similar colors. It doesn't have to exactly be like mine, but just create it. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. So just use what you have available. There's no pressure, and but like I said, if you're interested in using exactly what I'm using, they are available on my website. Alright, so now I'm going to pick up my palette paper, and we're going to mix some shades and colors for our sky, because that's what we're going to do first. We're going to add sky first, and then we'll let it dry, wash our blending brushes so they won't sit in the water too long. Because when you do that, you take care of your brushes and equipment, it's going to last you a longer time, okay? Like I used this brush for already, a long time, and it's still lasting good because I took care of it. So it depends on how you take care of your material. So make sure to not leave your brushes in the water. Of course, you don't want to leave your flat brushes in the water jar because it kind of creates takes away the sharpness of your tip, right? You want to just kind of rinse it and leave it wet and put it on a paper towel like this while you paint, okay? And then also same thing with the detail brush. You don't want to put it down because it'll bend your tip, right? So same thing with that. But for a little bit of time, let's say you're working for like an hour or two at the most, or maybe an hour, like you can leave your blending brushes in the water jar, but I wouldn't recommend leaving it for longer than 4 hours or whatever, And then these you could leave for a long time. The number 8 and number 4 in the water. That won't affect that. These are fine if they're in the water. Just thought I'd share that with you guys. All right, our palette paper. The sky, we're gonna make it pretty simple. We're not gonna add any clouds, just gonna make a gradient from lightest to darkest. We're gonna need titanium white. I like to start with the white first and create from lightest shade to darkest, okay? I'm gonna create about four shades. So starting from this corner, okay? I'm gonna squeeze out about 2 thumbs amount. I always do around 2 thumbs amount of white, and then about the same amount here, a little less here, okay? Maybe 1 thumb amount, and then a little bit less here. So from biggest to smallest with white, okay? And now let's use Viridian, and we're gonna add a little tiny touch. Oops, I need to poke it with a tack. All right, there you go. And now let's put a little bit here, just a very small amount. I don't want too much. And then just a little bit more here. That's it. That'll be good. And then we'll always close your lid so that the paint will stay nice and fresh. Okay, and then next, phthalo blue, we're gonna add a small touch in there, and then a little bit more in here, not too much, and then a lot more in here, like less than a thumb amount in there, okay? So I'm gonna quickly mix these colors from lightest to darkest, starting from the lightest. So I'm gonna mix it like I'm chopping vegetables, like this. Okay, mix it. It's going to give you a very light, nice, lighter green with a little bit of blue in there. I like that. Okay, something like this. Next, should slowly trend into more of a darker color. You see, like I'm trying to create a little bit, I'm going off of the idea of that painting I did, right? But I'm going to change it up a little bit because every time you recreate something, it's always going to turn out different. So it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Remember that. Nothing ever is perfect. Okay, and then this one. Next. Okay, it's turning into blue. And if I need to add more, I will add more, okay? So I'm looking at this and I think I need to add more. And I'm gonna add more white on that one. A little more white here. Okay. A little more white, just a touch. And mix it. And then once you're done mixing your color, you just put it into a pile like this. Okay, like that. It'll stay, wet longer. It won't dry out so quickly. And also, this is important. Mixing is very important because if you can mix your colors that you are satisfied on your palette, it'll be a lot easier to work with when you go onto the canvas. So remember that. So you can see this blue is a little bit darker we don't want it too dark because we want to add like a nice, you know, nice like trees that that makes it stand out. So I'm going to add a little bit more white, just a touch right there. Let's see what happens. We don't want it too dark. Okay, something like this. Maybe a little more white, okay? Let's add a little more white, because the reason why is because you could tell the big change from this color to that. You see, we don't want a dramatic change. We want it like the transition to be smooth, like a smoother change, right? That's what we're aiming for. So quickly add a little bit more white until you are happy. That's much better. It's still a little dark, but that's okay. We can work with that. We can work with this. Okay. So there you have it. And the colors are mixed and piled. And now we can quickly lay them out. And this process is quick, okay, on the canvas. Painting the blended part is actually very pretty quick process and straightforward once you catch the technique. So I encourage you to practice blending. You can mix any shades, any colors you want, and practice on like cheaper, you know, canvases. And also what I used to do is actually practice blending and practice on one canvas. So I kept practicing, so I won't use so much canvases on one. I just paint over and over the top of it once it dried, and kept doing it until I got the technique down. And once I got it, it's super fun and easy to work with. Also remember to wipe your palette knife like this. You could dab your palette knife in the water, all the way in the water jar, and then wipe it and it'll clean it like this. Okay, my friends, blank canvas, it's ready to go. There's my colors right here, right, from lightest to darkest. We're gonna start with the lightest and going into the darkest. Let's take one of our M1 blending brushes, right, and a water jar. Now I have my water jar next to my canvas where I can reach it easily, okay, where I can, when I dab my brush, I'll let you know I'm dabbing my brush, and basically I'm dabbing it just a tip on a little bit, just to pick up a little more water, not too much, just a little bit, okay? So that's what I'm doing, and that's why it's nice to have it next to you. So blending brush, water, we're gonna put the brush all the way in, okay, and squeeze out the paint a little bit, okay, so the water won't drip like this, but there is still some water here, it's just not dripping, okay? So I'm putting the water next to me, okay, and now I'm going to pick up my first color, and this process is quick, okay, so I'm going to be working quick, just letting you know, and I would encourage you, like I said, to practice this process with different shades to get your technique of blending down, okay? So we're going to make a smooth transition from light going into the dark area here, okay? So starting with the lightest color, let's just pick up our lightest color with our blending brush. Our brush is wet and ready to go like this, and we're going to start from this corner, and we're just, you see how there's a little bit of bubbles but the water is not dripping? That's like a perfect amount of water, okay? So I'm going to dab my brush in the water, just a tip, okay, just a little tip right there, and pick up more paint, and I'm going to just continue adding it, swirling it, because it kind of gets in the holes of the canvas nicely, okay? That's why I like to swirl. Dab my brush slightly in the water, pick up more of this color, let's randomly add it, and it's okay if you go down low. Some of this stuff is going to be covered, but I just like to do this to make sure, you know, make sure I cover everything. Dab my brush slightly in the water, let's pick up our next shade, and it's okay if you put it on top, okay, on top like this, okay, that darker green. Dab my brush in water, take a little bit more, and I think I'm going to add a little bit on this side, that darker green, and here, that's it, I don't want to overdo it. Next, dabbing my brush in the water, okay, and then picking up my blue, and You see how it's nice transitioning? And go down a little bit, you know, go down, mix it all, and you don't need to start blending too much, but just dabbing my brush in the water, okay, and picking up more of this light blue. And let's just make this side more blue right here. Let's go cover this side. Okay, dabbing my brush lightly in the water, picking up more of this blue color. Let's cover this area right here. Okay, a little more of this blue. Okay, like that, dabbing my brush in the water, picking up the darkest blue, and let's cover the rest of the sky. Dabbing my brush in the water, picking up more of this blue. Yeah, covering this corner, kind of blending it together a little bit. I'm not going all the way down, but just blending it with my other color, you know, other blue, lighter blue. So make sure you cover everything evenly so there won't be any chunks in the painting in your canvas, so that the paint will spread evenly everywhere, okay? So that's why it's important to swirl and just kind of lay it out real quick everywhere evenly. Dabbing the brush in the water, picking up the rest of the blue, and let's put it in here in this corner. Okay, and it's okay if you can go low here, it's okay. Maybe this part is dark. Okay, just like this. There you go. All right, everything's covered. Now quickly put your brush down in the water jar like this so it won't dry up the paint. Put your palette paper down. Let's pick up our dry blending brush, M1. All right, this will be the fun part. And we're just gonna blend lightly with a dry brush, lightly, like dab and swirl. Okay, lightly dab and swirl. And if you see, especially with the new brushes, if you see some loose hairs come out, that's totally normal. Don't try to pick them out and stress over them. I used to do that too, but I realized that it's not worth it. Rather just blend, focus on blending, okay? And then everything else, once everything is dry, it's actually easy to pluck it out once it dries, because the paint dries and then you just lightly scratch it off without damaging anything. So you could see that nice blend going on, okay? And we just want to blend from lightest to darkest. And it's okay if it creates a nice, like, you know, like foggy, misty look, because that's what we want for this picture, this painting. We just want to take away the brush strokes and make it more soft. Soft transition. Okay. Okay, so I dried everything. I got a new water. And also keep in mind, whenever you dry your acrylics, acrylics tend to darken after it dries. Just a tiny bit, it darkens the color. So keep that in mind for future, you know. And so it created a nice blend right here. And it's all dry now. In the video, because it's already getting evening, it looks maybe a little bit darker, but it's not as dark for me when I'm looking at it in real life. But again, like I said, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. You just want a gradient of light to blue. That's all. If you can achieve that, nice, smooth, you know, kind of blue, light blue to, light color to blue around here in a smooth background, you're good to go. So let's move on. So basically I'm going to start with a new palette paper, and I took the leftover paint that I had, which was the blues, that blue and the darker blue, right? I didn't want to put it to waste. So I'm just going to blend those real quick, okay, together. It's going to give me a blue shade, and we're going to use that color. I'm going to quickly blend that blue, and we're going to use it to add some, actually let's add Viridian to it. Let's add a little bit of Viridian to it to make it more green looking. Okay, so I added a touch of Viridian right here. All right, so let's mix that because I want it leaning towards green more, not blue. Okay, so I'm going to quickly mix that and show you what I get. And also I'm going to take part of this color here that I've mixed, you know, take part of it, put it right here, and let's add a little bit of more phthalo blue and viridian. This is going to be for the faraway trees, okay? They're going to be like faraway misty trees, okay? So a little bit touch of phthalo blue and a touch of viridian, and I'll show you how much I added. Very small amount, you don't need that much. Right there, a touch of blue and a touch of viridian, small amount. We're gonna quickly mix that. Okay, I'm gonna mix it real quick and show you what I get. Okay, it's just a little darker color, basically, right here. Okay, a little darker, leaning towards green more. Okay, so I'm gonna clean my palette knife so the paint won't dry up. Dab it in the water, right there. And let's pick up our number 8 brush right here and dab it in the water, okay, all the way, squeeze it out, okay, so it's nice and damp. All right, okay, so now we're going to start with this blue, and remember, it doesn't have to exactly look like mine. If your blue is a little bit lighter or darker, that's totally fine. Okay, so we're gonna just take some paint and let's just add some faraway trees. So you see how they're a little bit dark, a little bit darker than I expected. So what I'm gonna do, I added white right there, and what I'm gonna do actually is just take part of this blue, mix it in with the white, because I want to make it lighter, like this. That's good enough. Very small amount. Okay. Again, clean your palette knife real quick. Swipe. I'm gonna clean that color out in the water. I'm gonna clean it out. Okay, and then I'm gonna make sure my brush is damp, it doesn't have too much water. Let's go with this lighter color. Okay, lighter color, very simple, and we're just gonna start. That's much better. You see, it's not too strong. We want it not too strong. We want it far away, you know, like far away. And let's just add some. And it's okay if this is dark, because you can always go over like this. Okay, and I'm kind of swirling and so I'm gonna continue with this color. I love it. It's looking good, and I'm just gonna bring it all the way down where I think it needs to be. You know, you can bring it down as far as you want, but that's pretty much good right there. Okay, so now I'm going to continue. I want to make it look like there's branches far away. Okay, and I'm swirling and randomly adding that blue that we just mixed. Okay, something like that. Okay, and now we're going to continue, and we're going to add this blue. We're going to continue here, and then here, as you go closer in, actually I'm still going to do the tip, just the tip right here, and then as you go closer in, that's when we want to add the darker color. But first I want to do a little bit on this side. Let's just add a little bit over here. Maybe there's far away something, you know, far away trees there. Just blend it all in like this, in the middle right here. Those will be our far away trees. Okay, and fade it out. That's good enough. You see, it's not perfect. We don't want it to be too perfect. Okay, so I'm going to lightly dab my brush, just a tip in the water, because it helps. To blend in the colors. And I'm going to go into my darkest color, my middle color that we have mixed, the first one, and I'm going to add it next right here. And then I'm going to kind of dab it, skip some areas. Okay, continue on with this color, and let's just, and I'm kind of swirling and dabbing at the same time. trying to make it look interesting. Make it look like there's branches far away. So I'm swirling and dabbing to take away the brush strokes, okay? Okay, and continue on with this color. I'm going to create one that goes up like this. Okay, and then we're going to fade this out. Fade it out somewhere in there. So as you go even more in, right, we're going to add a little bit of, so I'm going to dab my brush lightly in the water so it can be damp like this. And then let's remember this darkest, leaning towards green color. We're just going to add it right here. Maybe this tree is a little bit closer. If you added too much water, just dab your brush onto the paper towel right there next to you. So we don't want it to be wet, we just want it damp. Okay, and let's add that greenish, blend it all and randomly like this. Like I said, dab it and blend it. Okay, a little bit of this. Okay, I'm going to mix that green with the blue right here on the bottom. We just want a nice transition. Now some of this is going to be covered again, so I'm not too worried about making it perfect. But we want to make it look like faraway trees, okay? So you continue using the darkest color, and let's fade it out right in here. I want to leave some of the light showing, and then I'm just going to fade it out. And fade it out like this. Okay, so there was a little bit of water, so I just took that little bit of water to make my brush damp, and continue on, and let's just randomly add it all over. Again, there's going to be some trees here, so I'm not too worried about, you know, making it all nice. And this is just the background base of the trees. So randomly blend it and kind of dab it. Take away the brush strokes, make it look like trees, okay? There you go. Just like that. Okay, so you could see from lightest going into a little bit of the darker tones. Something like this, okay? I'm gonna do a little bit in here. All right, so I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna clean my brush because it has that darker color in the water, and then dab it on the paper towel so it could be dry again. All right, and then let's use a little bit of this. Let's just mix this light one with this color. Something like that. And I want to continue on and create a little bit of like far away like trees and going down, disappearing somewhere in there. Like that. Okay, and I'm randomly dabbing it and then bring it down. So I'm gonna add this blue now, just by itself. Now we might go over some of this again once we add the more details here, but for now I'm just covering what I think might look good, okay? Okay, and then the dark, let's use a little bit of this blue again, and then let's use the darker green, okay, right on the bottom. There will be more darker colors here, you know, in here, but for now, let's just add that. We're gonna mix some more of the darker tones in a bit, but that's good enough for now. And just blend it out. Here it's going to be more darker colors. But there you have it. Our background trees there are laid out, and we can move on to the next section. All right, so moving on, I'll explain what I added here. I added about phthalo blue and the most viridian, okay, right here. And we have the most here. And a touch of black, and a touch of white. Okay, so I'm going to quickly mix that and see what it gives me. Basically, I want to create a dark, like a not very dark, but like it's still leaning towards like bluish green, you know, but it's like a darker tone, right? And I'll show you what I mean. And so it's like a darker green right here. You could see that is very dark. So first I'm going to add a little bit more white because I feel like, you know, and I'm going to make another shade, but I think I'm going to add a little bit more white on this one. Okay, right there, a little bit more. I'm going to try to mix this much to see, oops, try to see, basically after this one, I'm going to mix the next color. Oh, that's perfect right there. You can see it's dark, but it's not like super dark yet because it's still far away, but we want to create shadows. So that'll be, see the lightest, then it goes darker, darker. This one is a little bit more darker. And then we're just gonna add the black straight out of the tube, just the black by itself, a little bit, like a thumb amount. And I'll show you right there. And take part of this, okay, part of this color, mix it in, maybe add a little bit of the white, just a touch to, you know, so it won't be so like dark. And this will be like the base. Maybe a little more white. That's good right there. Okay. So it's going to be like almost like grayish, leaning towards that green, a little bit of the green gray. Okay, so it's, there you have it. Next two colors, I'm going to clean my palette. Okay, and remember, I'm just showing you the process, and you can totally, you know, add where you want yours to be. Okay, so you see what I did there? I added from the lightest point, right? This is the lightest area, and I added the glow hitting the tree from the lightest into going into the darkest. Same thing here. That's what's happening on the sides of the sky, from lightest to, you know. So I'm going to clean my number 8, same idea. Okay, we're going to take that next color right here, and we'll play with it. So my brush is a little damp, and we're going to play with it by adding it. Let's add it. So these were probably going to be like, okay, so it's a little too dark, and I don't want it too dark yet, so because I'm getting closer to the light. So I'm going to just use what I got on my brush and mix it in with this color. Even more dark. Okay, so no worries. I'm going to clean my brush and just take this lighter one, because I already have that green already mixed in there, so I don't need to be perfectly clean. There you go. So I'm just going to add some bushes up close. Maybe these are little trees up close. Fading in. Okay, just kind of dab it lightly and swirl and blend it out. Okay, so remember, you could use this blue too. This blue helps a lot. This one, and just play with the colors you have mixed. Light, remember you want to create a gradient, right? Gradient from that light to going into the darker tones. So I'm just randomly adding my bushes, and then, like I said, there'll be a road here somewhere. Okay, and let's use this color now. Okay, now this darkest, one of the darkest ones that we have mixed, going back to it, and because we're coming into the darker area, and we're just gonna randomly dab it, you know, make it look like bushes or trees. And just, that'll be the next area we will work on. So from there, I'm going to continue, and I'm going a little bit upwards, and then not too high, but, and then now I can use that darker, not too, maybe mix it in with this so it won't be too dramatic, like this. You see that? Basically same technique, but just going in. These are the closer bushes, closer trees. So let's just mix that with maybe some of these colors, because I want to add like some trees behind maybe. Okay, and just blend, swirl and blend that dark tones. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, so keep that in mind. We just want to create a gradient, okay? Okay, so I'm going to continue mixing this color and playing with this, both of them. Okay, playing with both. Let's take the lighter one right now, this one, and add it on top right here. Okay, let's randomly add it on top. It basically goes out somewhere in here. Just like this, randomly swirl and kind of dab. And then from there, we're gonna use this green and then the darker one. And we're just gonna add it all here. Cover this section. And it's okay if you have some of them kind of not perfect. Just nice transition. And we're going to work on adding the base. So this is kind of the base. Okay, so same thing on this side. I'm going to use this color. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and add that green color. I'm going to go ahead and add it randomly. Top right in here, maybe go up a little bit. So maybe mix it in with the lighter blue. Make sure your brush is a tiny bit damp, okay, because it blends well. So not too much, but just damp. And you play with these lighter colors, basically use the corner of your brush and blend. You see how nice that looks? Just the corner of your brush and just swirl like you would with a blending brush. So I'm adding that and fading it out somewhere in here. Okay, so going back to this darker one, mix it in with this color here. And add a little more on the bottom right here. Maybe a little more lighter one as I'm getting close to the lighter section. So I'm going to add this lighter blue right in the middle. A lot of this is going to be, I'm going to go over it again with darker color. But for now, like as a base, you know, I'm just, the car is going to be somewhere around here. But for now, you know, I'm just adding, covering a little bit of the, getting the idea down. Okay, so let's continue that in here. Okay, so very simple, using one brush with water and some messing around with these colors. Now as we get darker, go ahead and mix, you know, those two, and then just blend all that in. And remember, these are bushes, so it doesn't have to be super perfect. If some look a little bit See how it's like too wet here, so I dried my brush. I dabbed it in the water, on the paper towel, and dried it a little bit. And so I'm going to continue. And a lot of this is going to be pretty dark, so continue adding that dark tone on the bottom. Swirl it and randomly add it on the bottom. That's like the shadows of the trees and stuff. So use the darkest color now. So the car is going to come from like in here. It's going to come and it's going to fade out like right here. That's where that rail is going to be, somewhere in here, right? And then it's going to go, the road is going to go and fade out somewhere here. Like that. Just to give you guys a reference. So now I'm going to cover it with the darker tones. So just this darkest color. Let's fill in this area right up to here. Okay. Just a little bit more right there. Okay, and as you go up, you can go to the lighter color. As you can see, I'm not trying to make it, I'm just using a little bit of the lighter color right in here. Alright, so once you're done adding and messing around, adding all your details where you want them to be, what I like to do is once I added a quick sketch like this, I go back and use the same color once it's dry, because once it dries you can add another layer and it like makes it more smooth. So I just kind of went over some of the areas doing the same technique, just some areas right there to make it solid, okay? And so once you're happy with your background like this, something like this, okay? Remember, a lot of it's going to be covered with trees. And I also started, I paused there after finishing this, and I'm working on the next day. Today's a new day because it was getting a little dark and the lighting wasn't so good. So I have a new palette, but if you still have your old palette and you have space, use your old palette, use all the space so you won't let it go to waste. But we're starting fresh because I'm starting on a new day and we are going to continue. So right now we're going to cover the rest of the canvas, and this is what I have. I have a little bit of white, okay? Let me try to make sure it's focused right there. All right, a little bit of white, scarlet, a touch of orange, and a touch of black. White, scarlet, and black. Okay, and then just black and red, scarlet. Okay, so we're gonna mix this, and this is just a base coat for our road. This is going to be, because I added red and this kind of color, it's going to still look kind of grayish, but because of the reflection of the light from the car, I want to have some red, you know, as the base in the back, kind of reddish color for the, you know, for the road. So you should be getting something like this, like it's like leaning towards brown, but red, leaning towards red, I mean, but it looks kind of brownish and it's leaning towards red. That's what we want, something here, something like that. It does, like, again, it doesn't have to look exactly, even if your road looks a little more gray, that's totally fine, you know, it's totally fine. So I'm going to quickly mix the colors, and the next color is going to be a little darker and it's going to lean more towards gray. Okay, and less of the of like the lighter color. See, it's a little darker, it has some red in it, but it's leaning already more towards grayish. And then the last color, of course, is going to be the darkest. Okay, I'm going to mix all that, and then we're just going to cover it really quick, and then we're going to quickly blend it all in. So remember, with a paper towel, you always want to wipe your palette knife, okay? So that paint won't dry up in there, and it'll be easy to mix more colors if you need to. Okay, so let's just quickly cover everything up with our number 8. So my number 8 brush right here, it's damp and ready to go. I'm gonna start with the lightest color right here, as you could see, and we're gonna take this and we're just gonna add it right in the middle right here, like right here, randomly. Okay, take this color and randomly add it right in the middle, like this. Okay, and that's good enough. Next, let's take the next shade and then add it around the edges, like this, around the edges where we left off, randomly, like this. Okay, the next color. Okay, all right, add it a little more in here. And I apologize if you hear some excessive noises in the background. I guess today was in my yard. Neighbors are doing their lawn and it's kind of noisy. But I wanted to continue with you guys today, and it was the best day I could do it. So hopefully you can bear with me here on this one. So I added that color there, all right? And then I'm gonna add a little more right here in the front, around randomly. So you basically made it more in the middle, the lighter area. And then the darkest color, we're just gonna go around and randomly add it right in there. The darkest color, okay? Just add it all around the edges, Maybe add a little more of this lighter color and fade it out. And I'm randomly just quickly adding the colors because I'm gonna quickly blend it. All right, quickly blend all this in with my M2 blending brush. Okay, once I added all my paint on evenly everywhere, I'll do that, okay? There you go. So something like this, okay? Now with your M2 brush, we're just gonna go like this, okay? We're gonna go back and forth like this. And we're just gonna blend everything in. Remember, this is the base, so don't focus too much on trying to make it all perfect, okay? This is the base of the road. And we're just trying to take away the brush strokes and fill in cover up the canvas texture. That's why we're doing that. Okay, see how I'm doing circular here and then circular there because the car is going to be right here, and so the glow is going to happen mainly right here. Okay, so there you go. Now the paint is evenly spread. All right. So once you filled in your edges right here to fill in the canvas, and it's covered with paint everywhere, we are going to dry this out. I use the hairblow dry to quickly dry everything out. And there's one loose hair. See how easily it peels out? Doesn't damage the canvas, doesn't do anything. It just comes off very, very easy. So now let's pick up our flat brush, dab it all the way in the water, squeeze it out so it could be nice and damp. And let's use this color just a little bit. I just want to get like a sketch of the rail, right? I just want to have the rail end right here and then just kind of disappearing in here. Something like this. That'll be our like road. Okay? Just as a reference. Like this. And I don't need to do it here. There's going to be bushes on this side. Alright, so we quickly sketched that. I cleaned my 1/2 inch flat brush and put it down on the paper towel. And then to not waste this paint, I'm going to take the remainder of all these colors. Okay? And I'm going to put it against about a thumb amount of just black. Because now we're going to start and just mix it. We don't want to, I'm not using a black straight out of the tube, but you totally could if you want. But I'm using a little bit. It's gonna look still dark. It's just gonna have a shade of like lighter color, I guess. So something like that. It doesn't have to look like mine, okay? But we want a dark color basically, and we're gonna start painting the trees with this color. right here. With the flat brush, we're going to dab it in the water, and I have a little bit of water, but not too much. And then take this color, and water helps run smoothly on the canvas. Okay, it makes a nice, smooth, hard edge looking line. Okay, so we're going to draw a tree, a big one, somewhere right here. Okay, I'm going to have it actually be right in here. So it's going to go like this, somewhere in, and it's going to disappear somewhere in. So we're just going to sketch it out first. And the base coat of our tree. So it's going to end right there. And then I'm going to have it come around and loop around right in here like this. All right, I'm going to continue with the same color. I'm just sketching it first, getting the layout of my tree right, and then we're going to add more details to it. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to have it kind of bend a little bit and then go out like this. Something like that. And then a branch. So then this will be, as it goes up, it's going to be skinnier. So keep that in mind. And then here, I'm going to have it come and randomly fade it out like that. Okay, something like that. And obviously we're going to add more details to it, but for now, I'm just sketching it out, the bigger branches. And then there'll be one there. I'm making this a little thicker as I'm going down. And then here. Make it a little thicker. I'm going to make a smoother transition from here. Okay, a little smoother transition right here. Make this bigger, okay, right here bigger, and then as it goes up, it's going to get obviously smaller. I'm going to dab my brush in the water again so it can run smooth. And then here, this will be like a, maybe there was a branch sticking out here, but it's broken now. So I'm going to leave it like this. And then here, I'm going to add it thicker because this is where the line is the thickest. Okay, so I'm going to correct, again, make it your own, create it in your own style, in your own way, okay? But that's going to be my tree right there. Dab my brush in the water again, and I'm going to continue adding some of the bigger branches. So for example, here, I want to kind of go up and then let it kind of curve around here, and let's go down and up like that, why not? And I'm just, again, I'm just sketching it out. Okay. We're going to be obviously adding a little more detail to all our branches, but just getting the basic, the bigger ones. Okay, and then here I want to attach one that's going out and maybe coming down like that, and then one more right in here. This one I want it to go up and fade out somewhere in there. Okay, there will be more little branches around here. And we're gonna use our detail brush also for this part. Again, I'm just adding all the bigger ones that I think that need to be covered. I think with a detail brush it's harder to cover the bigger areas, but so I do it with a flat brush. But you can use any brush that you think can create a nice effect. I just like to use the corner of my flat brush, and I'm gonna create, maybe there's a little branch coming down. Okay, so we got the base of our tree right there. Obviously we're gonna add a lot of more details. Now I will add more trees here, but let's focus on this tree. So now I'm gonna put my flat brush down, clean it, not in the water, but I'm gonna clean it first, and then I'm gonna put it on the paper towel so that the tip won't be nice and sharp. And now I'm gonna pick up my detail brush, okay, dab it in the water, and then what I'm gonna keep doing, and this is the same process over and over, is with the water, a little bit of water and detail brush, you swirl your brush like this, the tip, to make it nice and fine, okay? And now you start adding all your details, starting from wherever you're comfortable, okay? So you can add from the top, go down, or from the bottom, go up. So now I'm going to add the details. For example, I'm going to continue and see, and just like continue some of these with some of these branches, make them a little bit thicker, and then I just kind of use some water and I go with it. I just create branches that I think will look kind of cool. And if you press a little harder, the thicker you're going to get. For example, I'm going to press a little harder, see? And it gives me a thicker one. And then if I want a lighter one, I just barely press. And I'm sure you know this already. Okay? So, right there. And so I'm going to spend some time going back and forth. I'm dabbing my brush in the water once I feel like it's dragging, it's not running smooth. I'm going to do some of the brushes that are like kind of loose. The branches loose. Okay? It'll make it look more interesting. So I'm randomly adding where I think it could look good. I know it might look messy, but it's going to look good in the end. And this is totally up to you how much you want to add. Okay? And then as you go out, you want to always add smaller branches. Keeps going smaller and smaller each time. Okay, so dab my brush in the water, and let's just add all the small branches that we think will look good here. Our tree is going to be full of branches. So dab my brush in the water and swirl and do the same thing, okay? So every time I'm moving my brush away, I'm basically dabbing my brush in the water, okay, and grabbing more paint. So I'm gonna keep working on this, okay, making some thicker, some smaller ones, you know, give some variety so it won't all look the same. That's why it's important to, you know, have some, because then it will make it look realistic and interesting. And if you like smeared a little bit of paint, like right here, a little bit, don't worry about it because we're gonna add some branches. So. Okay, so once you're done adding branches as much as you want on this side, let's continue adding some like leaves and things on them a little bit. So I added phthalo blue, viridian, a touch of white. I put on the side some black, basically the same thing, just a little less. I'm gonna take part of the little bit of black and mix it all in. I wanted to make it look kind of like the same color as like these trees right here. I want my leaves to look kind of like that, you know, and then I'll show you. So it's like bluish green, but because it has a touch of black, it looks kind of grayish. I'll show you how it looks. Okay, something like this right here. Okay, and then the remainder of that black, let's mix it in with this color. It's going to be a darker one. Same idea, just a little darker because we have more black, added more black on it. Maybe just mix it in with the white, all of it. That's good right there. This is not super dark, but it is darker than this one right there. Okay, that's going to be for leaves. Now we're going to pick up our number 8 brush, dry it out, and we're going to start with the lighter color, and we're going to dab like this. So take a little bit of the paint, and if you want more leaves, you dab it harder. If you want it a little less, you barely touch, see? Barely touch, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna dab and add some leaves all over, starting from this corner, this side. So I'm gonna kind of remember there's a tree maybe in here. So I'm gonna kind of keep that in mind and bring some leaves down. And it's okay if you cover some of the branches. So I'm gonna dab it in here a little bit. I'm gonna add a lot of it right here in the corner. Maybe there's a tree. Like this. And I'm not gonna do it everywhere, but just certain areas. I want it to look full. I don't want the tree to be naked. So add a few in here, barely pressing on some of the areas down here. I want this area to be almost empty. There. Randomly add it in here, lightly pressing. Not too much. I'm not going to overdo it, remember. Barely pressing, using the corner of my brush and go where you want your leaves to be. Some will be a little darker, some lighter. There's no right way of doing this. Right here, for example, I'm going to add some lighter ones. And fade it out, of course. Okay, so once you're done adding your leaves wherever you want it, we can go with the darker color now and go over some of them using the same technique, very easy. Let's go over and add a darker tone. Fill in some of these, where we want it to be a little more darker and full. Remember, not everywhere, just on certain areas where we think could look good. So I'm gonna skip a few here and add a few on top. Barely pressing. Okay. Once you're done with that, you can go back with the detail brush in your darkest color and do the same technique like we did with the branches. Water and just this darkest color, swirl it, and then let's just add a few more branches. Some of them we covered, you know, some of them we painted over, and we're just going to go over real quick and create quickly some darker branches around where we think it needs, you know, going over. Okay, and just work on adding where all the branches you want. Now for the final thing for this tree, we're gonna add a little bit of white and take part of this color left over and mix it in. Okay, maybe a little more. That's good right there. And we're gonna use this color, basically a shade lighter than this, right? We're gonna wipe our palette knife and then we're gonna take our number 4 and we're gonna add some highlights onto our trees. This should be pretty quick. So take a little bit of this color and let's just add it on one side of the tree, like where we think the light is hitting it. Okay. It creates like a 3D look to our tree. Lightly. Let it naturally create its own. I'm barely pressing. And I'm gonna do that here. A little more on this side. Barely pressing. And fade it out, of course, on that corner. And do the same thing here. Kind of lightly press and now let's add a few simpler ones right here. Let's pick up our flat brush and same idea, starting with the darkest color and a little bit of water and the darkest color. And let's sketch out our first tree. So I want my first tree to kind of go in, I want it to end probably in here. I want it to kind of go and then maybe go like this at a curve. And then it's going to fade out in there. And I'm going to make it thicker, so it's going to go down and then fade out in there. Okay, and then let's cover it with the darkest base. Okay. All right. And then next we're going to have a skinny one next to it. Why not? Something like that. And then the last one, let's add it in the corner. I'm going to make it go straight. Be a little thicker to give a variety. All right, something like that. And then there'll be a branch probably in here. Branch going in here. And then I'll do one right here. some of this, like I said, the background is going to be covered. And this one is just going to have some skinny ones. Maybe I won't add too much branches here. For now, let's leave it like that. And let's go to our, I'm going to clean my brush and I'm going to go to my number 4. Number 4 brush, and same idea. These trees are going to be more full. I think they're going to be less like this one to give variety, so to make it look a little different. So I'm going to start with, let's actually start with this color. Okay, with this one right here, and I'm just going to randomly, this tree will be a little thicker with more leaves, I mean. Okay, so, and then maybe a little bit in here. We're just going to fade it out. Same thing here. I'm not going to go too far out. I want a little empty space here. So I'm going to just go like this. Make these shorter ones. And I'm dabbing and kind of moving my brush around to create different kind of leaves. Okay. These will be a little darker, but why not add some in here. This will be pretty dark in here on top. Same thing here, we're just going to continue adding it where we think we want. Also an artist sponge will work as well. If you have an artist sponge, since I'm shipping all my art supplies, I'm limited with art supplies, so from Seattle, my studio. So most of my stuff is coming, should arrive within a month. But I got the most important things with me, because you can do this too. And why I use the smaller one instead of like a bigger one, I noticed over time that actually, because you're able to see all the little details on the leaves. When I use big ones, you know, like big brushes, it doesn't give me like a lot of texture and little leaves as much as, you know, this brush does. So I'm gonna let this go down. All right, for now that's good. We'll add more later. Okay, let's use the darkest color now. Let's just go ahead and jump straight to the darkest color. And let's add a darker leaves. Like I said, I want this to be more full of leaves. And maybe some in the middle here. That branch coming at you, you know? Don't forget about those. As you can see, it's becoming more darker in this corner. That's exactly what we want. You can leave some of the background showing, but totally, like I said, totally up to you. I'm gonna try to cover a lot of it. Maybe I'll have a little bit showing here, maybe. I like to step back also and take a look and see if it's well balanced. And what I mean by that is if one side looks more distracting than the other, you know, like this side is so busy, I want to kind of balance it with this side. Okay. So a little bit branches in here. And we're going to add a little more branches. I'm just kind of adding the leaves first for this one, since it has a lot more leaves. Maybe have some darker ones. Maybe there's some more on the side right here. Okay, remember this one. A lot of this is going to be pretty dark in here, but all these details make your painting stand out, so don't be afraid to cover and add details. Okay, everything will make it look nice. Little by little, adding all these little details will make your painting stand out more and more each time you add. So this part, I'm gonna just cover it all dark right here. I'm gonna just randomly cover it all, even the tree a little bit like this. Even the bottom here, I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna just cover it all with the same color and dab it and just let it fade in there. Okay. So same thing here. I'm gonna dab it and blend it all out. And it's okay. Make it look rough because this is all bushes and things like that. So this part is gonna be, you know, pretty dark. I'm going to add a little bit of the lighter color, this one. Add it up in here. In the background. Go back to the darkest color, add some darker ones. Maybe there's bushes right behind this tree. Okay, roughly add it like this all over. Go back to this color and let's just lightly add some of them going a little bit lower because we want to make this tree look detailed. I'm just covering some of the light. And dabbing and covering it because this area I want it to be pretty dark on top. Going down. Go to your darkest color now and fill in some of the areas. And I kind of swirl to, it helps to create a nice texture as well, where I want areas to be a little more darker. There'll be branches in here, so I'm not too worried about some of this area, but more in the middle and on top. Here is where I want it to be pretty dark too, on the bottom and on top mainly, because the leaves are mainly going to be on top. Okay, for now that's good. Let's go to our detail brush and let's just add some detailed branches for the branches. So same color, darkest color. Okay, swirl your brush and use some water, and like we did with the other tree, we're going to go and add the details to our branches, connecting. And if it's okay if you add a few extra, that's the point. Okay, I'm going to go over and spend some time adding all our beautiful details, making some branches thicker, some smaller. Have fun with it. All right, we could always come back to the trees, but let's continue. We're gonna add some of the electrical poles, just a few lighter ones. So remember, the car is gonna be somewhere right in here. I'm gonna have a light pole, one of them right in here. I'm gonna have it go up to maybe this point. I'm just gonna eyeball it and draw it straight. You can make it as straight as you want, but you know how some poles are not as perfect because they're also made out of trees and they're kind of crooked and stuff, so that's why I'm not trying to make it perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna draw my light, dab your detail brush and use this darkest color like we did with the trees, and just add it, make this one thicker. Okay, that's good enough right there. Maybe even on this side. All the way up to here, okay? And so, and then next one I'm gonna add next to it, I'm gonna add it go down a little bit, like right there. And have it come down, and you see, and I'm kind of like doing this sideways, so it's a little bit more difficult, but you get the idea, you get the point. You can move around, you know, see what's comfortable, but basically add something like this, and then one more little one, skinnier one. So as you go further away, it becomes smaller. Okay, and so on. Maybe there's one further over there. Who knows? Okay, and then here I'm gonna add one on this side of the road, and it's gonna be somewhere about right here. I'm gonna have it go from this height, go down, fade out in here somewhere. Okay, something like that. And now we're gonna draw the lines. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go from this side, and I'm gonna go very lightly, barely pressing, and do another one. Okay, and then from this side, okay, and then maybe this one goes, maybe there's one right in here, who knows. Okay, I'm just eyeballing it and making it my own. Okay, and then there will be a pole somewhere over here, so I'm just gonna go from here and go all the way like this. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure my brush is wet, and from here we're just gonna go one and follow it, and as you go out closer, make it thicker and fade it out. Okay, maybe there's another one. Fade it out like this. Okay, and now we're gonna do the same thing from this guy and just fade it out like that. Very quick. Okay. Doesn't have to be straight. And maybe from this guy it goes even more. Okay. Nothing is ever perfect. So you just have to go with it. Now you could totally skip this part if you don't want to add your lines, you know, I mean your power lines. It is all up to you. So now I'm going to use this lighter color we have with the detail brush, and I'm going to add a little highlight, okay, from the side, so it won't stand out too much. Fade it out. Okay, and then do the same thing with the power lines. Very lightly. And let it fade out. And then you want to add a little bit like this pool right here. You see how I added a little light right here? You want to add a couple of them far away. And then you could add a little bit of the light color on the bottom for fun. Alright, so I added a touch of white, a little bit, and then Viridian and a touch of phthalo blue. I'm gonna mix it. I'm gonna add some like grass and bushes more as we get closer. I'll show you where. I left this white just in case if I need to add. I'll show you where. I'm gonna add it right there. But I think I'm gonna add actually a little more phthalo blue. Just a touch of phthalo blue and carbon black. I'll show you. I'm just looking at this and trying to make it look, so I just on the side black and blue. I'm going to take part of the black right here, mix it in with this to make it look kind of grayish green, because it's like evening, so everything looks more darker. Okay, something like this. Okay, like that. And then the next one is blue. I'm going to take the white and blue, mix it, take part of this, mix it all just a little bit, not much. Basically, I want to make a lighter shade like this with blue, like this. Leaning more towards blue, not green, because I'm going to be adding, so I'm going to take my number 8 brush and I'm going to add some bushes and things like that. Let's start with the lightest one. So, for example, right here, I want to add bushes, right? I'm going to add it, and even don't be afraid to go over the poles, light poles, and just we'll fade it out. It'll be like bushes. Okay. More on this side. with the light blue, okay? Starting with the light, and then just kind of angle it like it's falling down. Skip some areas as it gets closer. We don't want it to be all even. Everything's closer here, but as you get closer up to you, there's going to be more gaps. Okay. Now we can go to the green one, and let's use the green one. Okay, this acts like as highlight to our bushes, and then we'll fade it out right here. Okay. And then of course in here we want to add some as well, just a little bit, not too much. This is going to be a little darker, so I don't want to add too much right here, like that. That's good enough. And then we're going to go to our darker color, darkest, remember, for the trees. We're going to try to go right under it and kind of go over it and dim it a little bit, especially with this part right here, the higher part. And kind of bring it down. And you can mix it with the green again. There you go. With the number 4 brush, same color, the darkest one that we used for the trees. Remember this part? Let's fade it out and let's darken some of this area. So I'm gonna fade it out and then dab the darker ones. Use my finger and then just darken all this area out. You know, you can leave some showing. But I'm gonna darken it just a teeny bit. Next to the pools you can darken a little bit. Okay, just like that. And let's use straight out of the tube some black, and with our number 4 and some water, I'm gonna darken, create some shadows in my where I think it needs, like for example this side of the tree, just with the dark on some of these areas. I think needs a little bit more attention with just the black. Okay, and you're gonna go down, because that's gonna create a nice like depth, you know what I mean? So we're gonna add it in between where the cracks are of where we added the light, right? We're gonna go and add a little bit of the dark in between. Okay, you can skip some and add it on some, okay? You see it makes it look more, it gives it more 3D effect. And you can fade it out obviously. And darken up here if you want. And then I'll fade it out as I'm going further out. And I'm gonna use the darkest color also, right on the bottom right here where it ends. I'm gonna use the darkest color. Okay, just the black straight out of the tube. And right where it ends, let's add some darker. Kind of go like this. Okay, and a little bit on this side. With the black. Especially where the rail's going to be on the bottom right here, let's add that. Okay, all right. Let's just do our car and then we can continue. All right, so we're gonna add the car about here and the reflection of the lights, okay? This is what I added. I added straight from the tube yellow, orange, and red. And then I have white and black, and then I did white, a little bit of yellow, and orange. And we're gonna mix that. Okay, this will be for like our lights or something. And then we're gonna also mix. We're going to mix part of the white and part of the black. Just a little bit of black. I just want to create like a grayish color. Okay, that's good enough. We don't need that much. Actually, let's make it a little more lighter. So I took more white. There, that's good. We'll leave a little bit of white there on the side. Now we're going to clean our palette knife and pick up our flat brush and use this gray that we have mixed. Take part of it and let's sketch out our car, okay? So remember, this is the rail, okay? So I'm going to try to have it be right in here. I'm going to try to draw it and let it kind of, the windows go like this. Okay, and then the front of it is going to be right here. Okay, there will be some lights in the front right here. And then it's going to just go down. The car's going to go down about this far. Okay, just a quick sketch. I'm going to put my flat brush down. I'm going to pick up my detail brush. And now I'm going to use this color. And I'm going to add some lights on this car. Okay, something like this. Okay, and you can correct yours and make it as cool as you want, whatever you want, you know. The lights to be, you could have them straight or or flat, totally up to you. Okay, now let's add a little maybe light in here, maybe a little light in here. Okay, and then maybe there's something in here. The hood. Okay, I'm gonna use a little bit of the white, just the white, and I'm gonna add it right here. Okay, maybe bring it down and fade it out. We don't want too much of that. Maybe there's a little white in here. Line. Reflection. Okay, now let's add this gray again, and let's add the mirrors. The mirrors are we're gonna have it right there somewhere. And then use the black and dab my brush in the water and just the black straight out of the tube. We're going to add the black around the lights and things like that. Okay. Okay. Something like this. It's coming towards us pretty much. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to clean my detail brush. And then I'm going to go over with the white again. Just the white. And if I have a little bit of color in it, it looks gray. That's totally okay. Just around here, I want to make it more. I want to bring it more lower. Make it a little higher here. With the white. Make it more interesting, detailed. Okay, that's what we want. We want to make it look detailed. Okay. So something like this. And then so let this dry, right? You want to make sure it's fully dry. And then once it's dry, let's add white right in the middle where the lights are. Let's add that white. We want this to be the brightest in our painting because this is going to be the lights, you know, and we want it to be the brightest. So now we're going to start adding some light. So now let's use this orange again with some water. So I'm going to dab my brush in the water and use like a little bit of water and this color, and I'm going to create a glow from these lights. So go right around the area. Okay, and we're going to make a glow. Okay, so a little more of that color and right around the white. Okay, I'm gonna make it glow. Okay, right there. Let's add the yellow now, straight out of the tube. Let's just add it right where we added the underneath that orange to make a nice glow. And then let's move on to the orange, and after the yellow, add that orange next. Okay, you can use your finger, and let's go around with the orange. And it's okay if you go a little bit over the color, you want to transparently go over anyway. So with the orange and water, you just, you know, go over, like, I mean, the car, because it's glowing. We want to make it look like it's glowing. Okay. So a little bit of this lighter orange we have mixed, and I want to add it on the side right here because it's kind of glowing this way. And then here as well. Okay. And now the red one with some water. Okay, we're gonna add it right next to the orange. Go around on top even more. It'll make it look like it's really glowing, you know what I mean? Right where you added the orange. And we'll do this again a little more. I'm just getting the sketch. So now let's go back to, let's pick up our number 4 brush, and we're gonna add this color right here, and we're gonna do a reflection where the light hits the ground, and we're just gonna skip some areas and fade it out. Okay, something like this. Okay, same thing here. Gonna do that right. Okay. And this is the base of the light. We want to make a reflection. Okay, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it and trying to make sure I like the positioning of everything that's, you know, laid out for me right here. Let's see the positioning of the car and everything. Okay. Barely pressing. Okay. So now I'm going to take, while this dries, I'm going to take my flat brush. I'm going to take this orange, remember this one we have mixed, and I'm going to add it on the rail. So as best as you could. I'm recording, so it's awkward for me to do this, like, but basically I want to create a light that goes on the rail from the car. Okay, want to add orange straight out of the tube. And then a little bit of red right here especially. Okay. And then we can put our brush down and then use a little black straight out of the tube. And you can obviously correct, you know, make sure it looks straight. This part. You basically go over it several times until you're happy. Use a little bit of the black. Maybe there's some areas where it splits up in here. Okay. And then a little bit of black right in here. And then clean your brush and then do the same thing with light orange. Okay, swirl your detail brush and go over, and then the final like touches of the glow from the car. Okay. Like I said, I'm painting sideways, so it's a little awkward for me to move around. So get cozy, see what where the position works best for you, okay? And again, I apologize about the noises. I just, you know, didn't expect it on this day when I planned to do this lesson with you guys. But sometimes it happens. Hopefully next time it'll be a lot quieter. All right, so I think that's good enough right there for that. For now, we'll leave it like this. All right, so now let's continue with this, and let's add white and mix it a little bit with this orange, and then let's brighten this area again. Now that it's dry, let's go over and make it brighter. So a little bit of white in that orange that we have mixed. And then fade it out. Okay, we're just adding some orange and a little bit of red, and let's add it right in here. You could use your finger to kind of smooth everything out. So I added a little bit of that lighter color, and then we'll just fade it out in here somewhere. I'm barely pressing and working transparently. So a little bit of this color and red, maybe some orange. I want to go around and add a little bit of that red in between here. And here. and then fade it out. So I'm going to add a little bit of the lighter orange and maybe a touch of yellow. And I'm going to create that glow again right where the light is shining. Right in here. Okay. Now let's go back to this color and white. Let's maybe a little yellow. Let's go back in here. I want to make this more brighter right here. Okay. You could lightly dab. Maybe there's some rocks. And it's reflecting. Maybe there's some right on the side, right in here. A little more blended out. Let's go back to our detail brush, and with the white and a little bit of this orange, maybe a little touch of yellow, I want to go over and make it even brighter, a little bit more. So you don't want too much paint, but just to create that glow from the light. Okay, and kind of fade it out. Okay, and then white and a touch of yellow. So white and a touch of yellow. And in the middle, let's kind of circle it and then add straight white out of the tube right in the middle. And then we're going to add black and a touch of red and black, and right underneath. Actually, let's use orange. Orange right underneath this car. Okay, now we're going to start detailing. So now I'm going to go over the car on top with a little bit of this gray and black, mix it, make it like dark gray. And I'm gonna go over the top of this car and define it a little more. You can push some shadows underneath right here, the window, so it won't be so perfect. Maybe even the mirrors could be a little dimmer. Okay, and this is the part where it's detailing time. So I'm going to use a little bit of water and more of that color and just fade it out. Fade that dark gray into the sky. Go around the car like this. Okay, we're going to do that around the car. Okay, and you can switch to your number 4 to do that if you want. A little bit of that color and let it fade out. You could use your finger. You could use a little bit of this grayish color and add it in some of this, some of these areas right here. Make it look like right in here. I want to make it a little more lighter next to this. There you go. All these little details, they make your painting stand out. And then we're going to add a little bit of that red and orange with a touch of white. So a touch of white and red and orange with water, so it'll give like a pinkish color. Again, doesn't have to be exactly like mine, just similar. And we want that like pinkish color right here, mainly on the bottom. Okay, pinkish color mainly on the bottom right here. Okay, and we want to bring bring out this light a little bit more out and fade it out right in here. So it could be a nice fade. To that pink color that we just added. Okay. And you could spend a lot of time on this part. This is just a reflection, so there's no right way of doing it. And now with the detail brush, we're going to add a little bit more of the highlights. So with this light orange, maybe add a touch of red if you want. And we're gonna just go and kind of add like more of like the lines, reflection. So with water and this orange that we have mixed, we're gonna add a little bit more details. Leave some of them maybe bright. Maybe these are rocks. They're like glowing from the reflection. So this is like after maybe a rainy day or something, the ground is a little wet, you know, and so I'm gonna make it look like it's reflecting. Nicely. Okay, and then a few little rocks maybe along the way, maybe here as well. All these little details will make your painting stand out. Don't forget that. All right, next I added black and white, and we're just gonna use black and leftover. Let's just take all this leftover color right here, not the yellow, just the red and the orange. A tiny bit of white, and let's just mix it all in. Okay, and this will be the color we use for shadows. We could even make it a little more lighter. Okay, like this. We're going to use this darker color here for some of the details, and we should be done. And then afterwards, once we do this, so detail brush and the tip, okay, same idea. And after we finish this section, like basically you can go back and work on the trees or whatever you want, because your painting is now laid out, okay? So here I'm gonna have like some darker areas, maybe there's some rocks showing or something, shadows, and then I'm gonna use my finger to kind of and then you know, dull it a little bit, and then here maybe, you know, so it won't be so intense. Okay, and then here as well. And then on this side, I want to make it darker here. Okay. So I'm just kind of going over where I added the lighter areas, but I'm going over, you know, right around them, okay? To give it more interesting, you know, look to the painting. Not just plain. Maybe there's a little cutout here, you know, from the light, and here as well. All these things make your painting stand out more and more. Okay, and then a little bit on this side. And then remember where we added the light, right? Little light underneath them, you can add the dark. Okay, maybe some in here. Dab your brush in water, and then Okay, and then here. All right. And on this side. Kind of faded out in the darker area with this color. Same thing here. So it won't look too, so the road will look rough, you know? You want to make it look like it's been used many times. Okay, and that'll be all. I'm not gonna overdo it. I think I'll leave it like this because I kind of like it. Maybe there's a little bit of darker areas right in here. Okay, and then you can go back and forth with the lighter colors. Lighter orange, you know, red, whatever you prefer, and you can go back and make, you know, adjustments back and forth until you're happy. So maybe with a little bit of touch of yellow too. Okay, and maybe add a little bit of some yellow glow. Okay. A few more little ones here on the side. It's like little rocks. Okay. I think I'll be good with this painting for now. Like I said, go back, take a break, come back to it the next day, you know, and see if you want to make some changes to it, if you want to add more details to it, you know, totally up to you, okay? So take your time, don't rush. Go back to any area. Basically, the technique that I was showing you how I do it, basically that's how you go back and forth doing it several times until you're happy with it, you know? Okay? All right, my friends, I'll be done for today. Like I always say, you can always come back to any section you want. You got the painting all laid out. Now you can work on anything you want. Create it in your own way, you know, make it, have fun with this. Add whatever you want and play with it and just enjoy the process, okay? I always recommend take breaks, you know, take breaks so you'll enjoy the process. And every section, like for example, like you notice the sky first and then the background trees and then the, you know, the details on the ground and then the trees, bushes, all those are sections. So don't be afraid to take some breaks. All right, guys, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Again, my apologies for this background noise. I hope that doesn't happen again. Take care, guys, and God bless.